Welcome back. We have Jerry here on behalf of Pacific Financial Planners. And of course, during the commercial break, all I do is ask the poor man questions about taxes and stock and this and that. And I know we just need to pick up the phone and come and see you, right?
Anytime. My door is always open and there's no obligation.
You've got some great information. We appreciate you coming in every month to talk about it. And now, of course, we're getting to the end of the year, and you would like to remind us that now is the best time to plan year-end taxes.
Yeah, there is so many things that are important for people to do with their portfolios, because it's not what you make, it's what you keep that counts. And a lot of people just think about which stock or which mutual fund, or should I buy a T-bill or something like that. But what about saving money on taxes? That could boost your returns that some people take advantage of, and other people just, for some reason, don't understand the importance of.
Right. And when I was looking through the notes, the thing that was a little bit scary is, of course, now you look at it on paper and you see a $31 trillion deficit. And you said that there could be some potential like higher taxes, or tell me what your concern is.
Well, I call it the coming tax storm, because we now have $31 trillion in debt. So there's one way is to grow your way out of it, but everyone's talking about a recession. A recession isn't growth, it's regression of economic output. So that's not good. And the other way is to raise taxes. There was the Tax and Job Act, sometimes called the Trump tax plan, that was set up in 2018, and that was a 7-year deal. So in 2025, and this is the end of 2022, we've got 3 years left. And basically any administration at any time can change the rules. So the likelihood is, with the Tax and Job Act, tax brackets are the lowest they've been in decades. What do you think is going to happen with this huge deficit? Are taxes going to go down, stay the same, or go up? And if they go up, that's going to be a problem. So you've got to take advantage today of this year's tax rates, which are some of the lowest in history, by making certain year-end decisions.
I can hear right now, though, I can hear people saying, oh, don't worry about it. It's 2025, right? And depending on who's in office and Congress and this and that, maybe they're not thinking that far ahead. So what are some things that they should do right now?
Well, that's a great question, Lisa. Thank you. Because every year, it doesn't matter what the tax rate is, what you should try to do is offset your gains against your losses. What's called realized gains means that, did you sell anything this year in your portfolios that resulted in a profit or a loss? And many people, with the market being as bad as it was this year, one of the worst since 2008 and 1974 or 1934, this was a horrible year. There's a lot of people that have losses in there, and maybe they've had one or two positions that have these huge gains. They bought Microsoft 10 years ago, or Facebook, decades ago, and so they can offset some of those gains, diversify their portfolio against their losses. And they got to understand short-term versus long-term, meaning 1 year or longer or less than 1 year, because those are taxed differently. But to not look at that between now and December 31st is kind of criminal. And this is one of those weird years that a lot of people might have huge taxable gains, and you go, well, how could that be? The stock market was so down. Because if they had mutual funds, maybe they sold their the mutual funds got sold that they've held for years at big profits. And so they might be holding other stuff that has big losses. So they can reduce their tax liability this year by doing it. And there's several other things they should be doing between now and year end as well.
Okay. So let's talk about tax penalties, because in your notes you have it's the minimum distribution,
yeah,
right?
RMDs.
So you take that when you're 72, is that correct?
If you're 72 or older, you must take your required minimum distribution before year end. That is the largest penalty that some people miss. It's a 50% tax.
Is that across the board, no matter who you are?
Right, no matter, well, as long as you're 72 or older, you're required to take that.
Well, yeah, so if you're 72 or older, it's 50% of that money. That's terrible.
If you don't take it. And then what will happen, so let's say you're supposed to take out $10,000 and you fail to do that. Next year, you'll probably have to take out $20,000 and you'll be paying taxes, so maybe you're in a 20% tax bracket, plus the 50%, you'll lose 70 cents on the dollar. So instead of getting $10,000 and maybe paying $2,000 in taxes, you're going to pay $7,000 in taxes.
Wow.
And only get to keep $3,000.
Why would you not take the distribution?
people just fail to do it. They don't realize it. I run into people all the time that they just, you know, they think their advisor's supposed to tell them. Now we tell them from Pacific Financial Planner. We send out letters encouraging them and calling them up at the end of the year. Hey, get this money out. But not all. It's not the responsibility of the advisor. It's their responsibility. But there's one trick, Lisa, that I really encourage people who are at that age 72 and above to do. A lot of people are charitably inclined. They give money to their church, synagogue, they give money to the university or some charity that's very well deserving. What I tell people is that instead of writing a check to the charity or to your church every single week, take part of your required minimum distribution and direct it towards the charity. And then you don't get the taxable income. You meet your requirement to reduce that liability. So you're giving them pre-tax dollars, which is a discount to you, and the church or synagogue or charity gets the full value.
I see.
Once you're 72, you can give up to $100,000 away in qualified charitable deductions. So anything less than that, maybe you write only $500 to charity.
Right.
Use your RMD to make your charitable deductions. It's a great way, because then you don't have that as taxable income either. It's a really good plan.
That is a really good idea. That's excellent. So now let's talk about the ages between 60 and 70, which would pretty much cover the majority of our group. You called it the golden decade. What does that mean?
Well, yeah, a lot of people.
Is that like the golden years, right?
The golden years aren't so golden when it comes to healthcare, maybe, but when it comes to tax planning, it is, because you're not quite at that 72 where you're stuck in the required minimum distributions, which is a straight tax table. Your age times a percent, and then every year that percentage gets more and more and more. So you're forced to take a taxable amount out.
Right.
But between 60 and 70, when you retire, you have so much more control over planning your taxes. And it's kind of, where do you draw money first? Do you go for Social Security, or should you maybe start drawing against your 401k, 403b, your IRAs, and reduce that so you're paying less taxes once you hit the RMD age? So tax planning in that golden age between 60 and 70, and I would even suggest 55 to 72, is so important. But you've got to sit down with somebody like a financial planner. It's not, people say, well, I've got an accountant, I've got a CPA. They look at history. They're looking back and say, what did you do last year, and how can we make this advantageous when we file your tax return? They're history writers.
Yeah.
Tax planning, with a financial planner like myself, is forward-looking. What can we do to reduce your taxes going forward by planning it out? And so there's a huge difference. That's why having a financial advisor who can be a tax planner like myself is so important.
And you know, and at some point we'll talk about the differences between an IRA and a Roth IRA. We don't have time to do that today, but that is something that I think is important to know the differences, because many people think, okay, I don't have a 401k anymore. Maybe I want to switch that into one or the other, and there's certainly differences. So differences,
advantages, the Roth conversion, you know, all those things are things we could talk forever, Lisa. But I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
All right, thanks for the information. I appreciate it. And if you want more information about anything we've just discussed, or you want to give Jerry a call, you can certainly give him a call at the number that's on your screen. Now, also, don't forget that they are going to have a forum. It'll be November 22nd in Clubhouse 5, Room 1. We'll be right back after this.